Hello everybody, welcome back to my television review series. Today we'll be discussing Manifest Season 1. Just finished watching it this morning. Was looking for, just finished up Ozark, was looking for something that wasn't a crime drama, like a criminal crime drama. This is kind of like a crime drama, but from more like the cop's perspective. I'll read you the overview, and then we'll do the typical thing. I'll give you my overall grade and impressions. Then if you want to watch the show and you have not seen it, you should turn off the video. So I'll be doing a plot synopsis and character development of most of the major plot themes. I wrote some things down along with it, but nothing too in-depth. Then some major themes. So overview. We have 92% like this TV show on Google and 7.1 out of 10 on IMDb. When Montego Air Flight 828 landed safely after a turbulent but routine flight, the crew and passengers were relieved. But in the span of those few hours, the world has aged 5 years, and after mourning their loss, their friends, families, and colleagues had given up hope and moved on. Now, faced with the impossible, they are all given a second chance. But as their new realities become clear, a deeper mystery unfolds, and some of the returned passengers soon realize they may be meant for something greater than they ever thought possible. So pilot episode, character setup, and plot. I'll just give you my overall grade. So like I said, it's really just like I think it does have some good resolutions. Like seems like there's more like just like minor plots that resolve pretty much every episode, similar to like a Criminal Minds type of deal where you get some resolution with a bigger plot kind of going over the whole season with some decent character development. Overall, I'll give it a B-. I enjoyed it, thought it was entertaining. Don't think, obviously, not putting too much into the scientific explanation of what goes on, but like I said, it has good resolutions of minor plots. Like I said, stuff seems to be happening. Some of the character development's not super great. I mean, there's some I thought it would be interesting for because like I said, out of everything of all these ones I've done, I hate insecurity and characterization, and so it has had a slight edge for me of just the familial relationships of meeting up with somebody you haven't seen in 5 years or haven't you thought was dead and is comes back. Those type of relationships where just for example, before we get to the plot synopsis, Michaela Stone and Jared Vasquez are engaged or about to get engaged, and then they come back and he's married to to her best friend Lourdes. So it's like you just have some sort of relationship potential different from just time lapse. So that was an interesting edge. I did see the previews and didn't really watch it on TV. I think it came out in 2018. I think season 4 is coming out this fall. But I thought it just a different backdrop again. I think, but I'll just do okay. So now we'll get into the plot synopsis and character development. So B overall, enjoyed it. Nothing super great. I found it entertaining. Might watch season 2, 3, or 4. Might look for something else. The character setup and plot. So they all go to Jamaica, they're coming back, they're on this plane, they literally have some turbulence, they don't seem to notice any time elapse, and then, they come back and it's 5 years later. So, at first, Ben Stone, Cal Stone, we have Ben and Grace are married, Cal and Olive are twins, Michaela is Ben's sister, Steve is their father, mother I didn't have written down because she goes by the wayside pretty quick. Karen Stone. We have Danny, who is Grace's lover. When Grace ages 5 years, Ben is gone for 5 minutes. So Danny is Grace's new love interest. Jared Vasquez is Michaela's love interest. Sanvi Ball is a Indian doctor who has a successful cancer treatment for kids, and when she comes back, it's all working out well. And there's the main setup character. So you have all these people on these planes, they go missing, they come back, and they get reunited. When they come back, Karen Stone has passed away. And so they volunteer to stay back for $400 on a different flight. It happens, they come back, and the plot development there is Michaela, Jared had texted, like I said, had proposed to Michaela, and she said she was going to think about it or something, and then he texted her, and then right when she was going to text him back, right then was when the turbulence hit, and she was going to say yes. So it comes back married to her friend Lourdes. You have some references to Evie. You have the three amigas, Lourdes, Evie, and I said question mark, I don't know how to spell it, didn't have it on the Google character list. Kind of a weird casting name. These are all pretty standard names, and you have Lourdes, that's kind of strange. We have Evie, Lourdes, and Michaela, they're best friends. Michaela and Evie had been drinking one night. This is like a flashback scene, this is some context, not actually in the season really. And they were driving home, and Michaela wrecked and killed Evie. So Michaela is a police detective, Ben is like a mathematician, and they're kids. And Fiona Clark is like another kind of like a transcendental scientist thing. She talks about mirror neurons. And I watch TV shows for entertainment, not to criticize the science. Again, even if it's shitty science, it can still create a context where you have some good lines or good writing. So it really doesn't throw me like bad science. I just hate superhero movies when it's just multiverse, and that stuff. That just it's just the same thing over and over again. But so they come back and the plane explodes. So right when they come back again, obviously you also have Vance. Who was the head of the NSA. He dies throughout the season. We'll get to that. But so they come back, and they have obviously, the government's, all over the place trying to figure out what happened. Throughout the entire season, you don't really get any real indication of what the explanation is as to where the plane went, or what the science is, or what the explanation is. But they come back, and they're all getting interviewed by NSA, FBI, just basically trying to figure out what happened. And so really throughout the whole season, they start having callings where they just hear voices or have little visions, and it's basically some clues about what's going to happen, and then they kind of have to figure out what's going on to stop a bad guy or do this or do that. And so that's what I'm talking about, some minor plot resolutions. I do like that. You get to see there's some minor plots resolved pretty much every episode. So they come back, and Vance is the head of the NSA looking into all of this stuff. And so the plane explodes. And so probably about 20 or 30, and I don't know how many people are on the flight, on 150, and there's 20 so far that have been in the show. And there's some other minor parts I don't have up here. They come back, and they all have this calling to go back to the plane. So they go back to the plane, and the plane explodes. So right when they get back, they're trying to figure stuff out. Within the next couple days, the plane is now gone, and they lose all of the evidence. And so they look into it, and everything checks out. There's no equipment on the plane in between the 5 elapsed years, and so it all checks out, and it's legitimately disappeared and came back. So the first thing they solve is sisters being trafficked, and Lourdes' mother's rescue, and an Asian lady being murdered. So they come back, Michaela gets this calling saying, let them free, and she goes to this place, and it's two Rottweilers. So her and Michaela has callings, Ben has callings, Cal has callings, and remember, Cal and Olive were twins, so Olive is now 15 or 16, and Cal is still 10. And they go to this place, and they let out these Rottweilers, and then they get returned, and Jared Vasquez is also a police detective. Basically gets Michaela off the hook, and it's why'd you do that? And then they go back, and Michaela has another calling of let him free, and basically goes back into the place. The guy's all apologetic, or Jared's apologetic to the guy whose dogs Michaela let out, and he's like, I don't want to press charge or anything. And Michaela goes back into his warehouse area and busts open a lock from a calling, and there was two chicks being trafficked, so they saved them. Lourdes, I think it was Lourdes' mother. No, it was Evie's mother, not Lourdes's. But Evie's mother, again, who was the one who died when Michaela was driving. She now has dementia when she comes back. So she goes wandering off one day, and basically Michaela goes and finds her. She's literally wandering around a highway area, and Michaela swerves in front of her to protect her from oncoming traffic, saves her. And right when she does that, there was an Asian lady murdered. And so right when she does that, she sees at the same time the housekeeper of the Asian lady who was murdered that was on the flight talking about the callings publicly, or talking about something publicly. They thought, if there's another small plot where it's this one dude on the plane was telling passengers that about the callings, and he jumps and they died within 2 days after telling them, so he jumps off of a building. But the rest of the passengers think that telling people that not on the plane about the callings might get them killed or something. So they're just really trying to figure out what's going on. And so an Asian lady is murdered. They think it's because they think it's the government initially, or just somebody involved with the plane, but it was the housekeeper. And when Michaela swerves over to save Evie's mom from traffic, she sees the housekeeper with the gold necklace stolen from the Asian lady that was murdered. So they kind of solve two things at once. They save a black dude from the cargo hold, and Cal finding the hiding spot. So basically, there's another plot development. Just some dude who's from Jamaica trying to meet up with his boyfriend in America, doesn't have a passport or something, and so the stewardess on the plane lets him hide in the cargo hold. So they basically save that guy at just like a water fountain, like a public square water fountain area, and they put him in just like a warehouse building to keep him secret. And so Cal and Ben, they go out one day to just do random stuff, and Cal just basically runs away from Ben saying, we'll keep doing random stuff, and finds the place that this black dude is being housed in the warehouse. And, just seeing, as the season unfolds, Cal has stronger visions or stronger awareness about the callings than Ben or any of the other people. When they come back, again, the government's wary of them. You have people who treat them like saints and stuff, want to do, kind of starts like a church. And then you have people who are hateful to them, thinking they're bad people. So a lot of just, this society reacting type of deal. They save a Jamaican who didn't steal watches from prison. Another one of the initial episodes, a dude's in jail. One of the passengers on the plane comes back. His son is now in jail for stealing watches. He worked at this jewelry store, and there was a robbery, and there was no break-in, and he was the only one on the scene, so he got blamed for it. And then at the same time, I think Ben is going back to a storage hold to get Cal's old stuff that Olive had saved because they're twins, and Olive's like, I knew Cal was still alive. And right when Ben's going to do that in the storage unit, he sees another storage unit of the jewelry store's owner's son, with all the watches. So they get him convicted, and they get the Jamaican dude's kid out of jail. Marco and Cal get entangled. A barber gets murdered. So the government is doing, or I think it's a private company. The NSA is looking in to figure out what's happening, but so far it seems like a private company is trying to figure out the most things. But some of them are doing experiments on 11 of the passengers. So Marco is this Hungarian, and Cal starts, saying stuff in Hungarian. And basically, he mimics the emotional state of the guy that's being tortured, and Michaela, Ben, and Sanvi are all trying to figure out where they're at. And Sanvi also has found a blood protein in the blood only from the people that have, come back from the dead or whatever. A suicide jumper launches after Michaela tries to help the Angel of Death. We just talked about that. That's the guy who tells people about their callings and then they die. The NSA team find the missing passengers. Gunfire and explosion ensues. So the NSA, Ben, Michaela, they all go in, they find the missing passengers, and the private company, I think it's Global Dynamic Systems or something, but they're trying to cover up all the evidence and move the passengers. So they find the passengers, there's a gunfight, and there's an explosion. Jared almost dies. Vance does die, so the NSA is quickly whacked. Quickly out of the picture, but Jared gets severely injured but doesn't die. Grace and Ben separate. So again, they're coming back, and Grace had another lover, Danny, but she throughout most of the season, wants to get Ben back. But they try it out a little bit, and they're saying it's not going too well, so they separate. And they get back together later in the season as well. So he's gone for 4 or 5 episodes, just living down. Lives with his sister for a bit. but a barber gets murdered. I forgot to talk about that one. Just another minor plot resolution. Some dude, a barber gets murdered. His son keeps the gun as evidence away from the police so he can revenge murder the guy who did it. And another calling, and Michaela steps in and stops him from killing the guy and arrests the bad guy anyway. So just another little plot resolution. A passenger looks into Ben for the Singularity Project. The Major comes to town. So you get this ominous character, the Major, the female running the the tests and whatnot. But they send, I believe it is Autumn Cox, just like a white chick with brunette hair. Basically, she has got a lot of outstanding warrants and doesn't know where her daughter is, so she is sent to spy on Ben and the rest of the little crew trying to figure out what's going on. And they're trying to keep Cal's ability away from the Major, so they call him the Holy Grail. They're just trying to figure out the most powerful visionary. Jared and Michaela clap cheeks. So again, Jared is married to one of the three amigas, Lourdes, who has a pretty much minor role throughout season 1. She ends up leaving Jared and Michaela. She already knows. She basically figures out real quick. Once Jared jumps back into his Michaela cheeks, he's not feeling. He's kind of getting that soft wiener for Lourdes. So she kind of picks up on that. Yeah, and so Michaela's not too sure about it because it's cheating. And she's just wary. She wants to be with Jared, but not so quick, and it ruins the marriage between Lourdes and Jared. But the pilot recreates the flight conditions. A local meteorologist has the actual data. He dies by a boating accident, imply that he is killed for having the data, and he kidnaps Fiona. So one of the other pilots of another passenger, the passenger of the actual original flight, he's onto it. They figure out the data that. The government said data about the weather conditions that day were completely wrong. Again, the turbulence was very violent. So he has a flight simulator. He recreates it. He gets the actual data, and then he steals another plane. And his big idea is he's going to fly back into another storm to prove that it was dark lightning. So now we have the shitty science, right? In physics, we have dark energy because we don't know how the universe is expanding because we have shitty data that we don't know how to interpret because our models are wrong. And now in pop culture, we have dark lightning. So that's kind of like a little science explanation there, dark lightning, which I don't even know what it's supposed to be. But he kidnaps Fiona, who again is like this, she talks about just like another passenger, but also like a lecturer about mirror neurons and stuff, her theoretical neuroscience work. And he thinks, the pilot thinks she's a part of it, so he picks up her, and they fly right into a storm, and the Coast Guard shoots them down. So Fiona's now off the map as well, and the pilot, I don't know where he's at, but he is dead as well. Yep, so they're done. Cal goes missing. He finds a hiker gone for 1 year. So basically Cal, again, has these stronger visions, just runs away one night, leaves like a note that looks like I left for Olive, but it's really a map of which way to find him. And he finds, he's staying in this cabin in the woods, and you meet Zeke Landon. He comes back in from a hike. His sister has died in the past, and he comes back from a hike, and it's been 1 year. So now you have a character that's also experienced time lapse that was not on the plane. So that's kind of interesting plot development. Pull a check mark there. But Cal finds him, and they link back up. And so that's like a whole little development. Sanvi gets assaulted and gun pulled on her. Basically, one of the people that are like the believers, again, one of the dude literally starts like a church around the thing. He just kind of plays into it. It's like, yeah, I'm a church dude now. I'm starting a religion and sick. What was I talking about? Oh, she gets assaulted. So one of the parishioners has a dying husband and thinks Sanvi can do some secret cancer research and secret plain dark lightning magic to heal her husband. And so she obviously can't, and then she pulls a gun on her. Michaela and Ben go in and basically kind of like Ben acts like he's gonna save her with a miracle, and then Michaela just takes her gun away. But Sanvi gets assaulted and now has anxiety and a traumatic event, so she has anxiety and needs to go see a therapist. A robbery getaway van is found with a driver alive, James Griffin. So this dude, he stole $75 million with 2 other people, popped 2 dudes in the brain, his accomplices, so he can take the whole bag himself, and then he drives it right into the river. And then he's underwater for like 3 days. And so, but when he comes out of he's been underwater for 3 days, they pull him out, and he's basically he leaps out at Michaela and he's fine for 3 days. And so he's having visions, or he's having a callings as well, and he's kind of like the first like malevolent person with a calling. And so he has information about a terrorist attack that's going to happen the next day, but he's only going to give it to the police if his double homicide for murking his accomplices goes away. And so he provides them with useful information. They stop a bomb going off at like a hot dog stand in, somewhere in New York, maybe Times Square, and then he gets exonerated. So the next couple of days, he's going to go up and he's going to become a superstar, millionaire, famous for his callings. He goes up to give a public press conference. They all have callings to say, stop him, stop him, stop him. And they go up there, and they can't. And Zeke is Jared's wary of Zeke, Ben is wary of Zeke, and he gets a gun, and he's going to shoot him. But right as Griffin is going up to give the speech, he literally vomits more water than body weight. So again, just he managed to save up all that water from the drowning, but just there's some mystical elements. So he is now dead, and from that Cal has another vision where again he's drawing all of these things. He can draw these things, and they predict the future. He doesn't cause the future, but he has the headstones of Ben, Cal, and Michaela at I forget what day it is, but basically they learn from Griffin that the same amount of time that they were away is the same amount of time they're going to die. And it was certainly the case with Griffin, and he was the shortest data point so far. So that's kind of cool plot development. Thought that was a little interesting. But Jared says, again, Jared's kind of wary about Zeke, who kind of not shacks up, but staying at Michaela's apartment. And so they have a little bull battle over who's going to get the girl kind of deal. And that's kind of the last scene. But Jared says, I couldn't care less about this guy. I've always pointed out when they say I could care less incorrectly. So good job whoever wrote the line for Jared. I couldn't care less. That's the correct logical use. Good job. Thumbs up. The general poses as Sanvi's therapist. Sanvi has anxiety from the attack or the assault, and the general is now posing on Sanvi's therapist. And the general at this point is basically gathering as much data as she can. So it's really not really clear if it's a natural event and private companies are working on it and governments are working on it, or it's a private company and the government's oblivious, or if it's the government and a private company. So you really don't know the explanation of what's going on yet, at least in season 1. And there's season 4 coming out. So Grace gets pregnant, and the same scene that they learn about their death day. Again, they all calculate again about the exact time of when Griffin died, and then they calculate the same time they're going to get. And Olive, Ben, and Cal all have calculated the same day, and it's sometime in 2024, whenever the timing, however long they were gone is when they were going to die. And so at the same time, Grace gets pregnant, and she's 6 weeks pregnant, so it could be Danny's or it could be Ben. Bum, bum, bum. Who's the baby mama? Who's the baby's father? Mari. Gotta go on Mari. We do Jerry for fun stuff. We do Mari for DNA tests. Maybe some Steve Wilkos. But Zeke and Jared fight. The gun goes off. So again, Jared thinks when Zeke bought the gun that he's bought drugs. And so he goes to Michaela's apartment, busts in, has words with Zeke. Again, that's when they fight it off. And then Zeke shows him the gun that he was... that's what he bought to stop Griffin, and Jared is assaulting Zeke, so he's pointing the gun at him. Michaela's running up the stairs kind of in slow motion, ending scenes, the audio's going in the background, and then the screen goes black and you hear the gun go off, and that's the end of season 1. So overall, again, entertaining. I thought some of the character development could have been a little bit better. I thought the background context was pretty good or pretty decently novel. Didn't execute on it as well as I thought you could. Again, I don't know what I would do with the writing, but again, just a missing plane come back and some kind of crime, drama, lifestyle show. I don't know, it's entertaining. I liked it. So B-, major themes. Again, Dark Lightning, no, I don't know what the fuck that means. But just, again, relationships aged, again, even in the fictional context still is, again, better than shitty family drama than we just in a normal context. So there's a little relief there. The weird science doesn't bother me at all for entertaining TV show. And so I don't know. Like I said, I might watch season 2, might not. That was decent. Nothing great, nothing bad. and just a break from a crime show, or just the one I watched before was All American, and there wasn't a season of that. So I don't know, might look around for something new, might watch season 2, who knows. Thank you for watching my review of Manifest Season 1. See you next time.